Go on with it, go on with it. Blessings all for my life, man. My thank God for the journey, the earnings, and just for the plus. Gratitude is a must. Blessings fall by my right hand.
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is your favorite mystic, TheSirenSayz, and welcome back to another video. It is May, so I think by the 22nd or 25th or so, things like sisters will be coming back. But I did want to make one more video about Bridgerton before season 3 came out. Obviously, Daphne will be a part of this season, and I wanted to talk about the first season a little bit. I have been rewatching the first season by proxy in a way, and I enjoyed it more the second time around, but closer to the end, I remembered why I didn't appreciate it. Yes, it introduced characters that I liked. Like, I really do like Penelope, and it reminded me why I don't necessarily like Eloise, especially into season 2. But I wanted to talk specifically about the Hastings, Daphne and Simon Hastings. When the show came out, I got a bunch of little spoilers that don't really mean anything because they're book related. So you get more context on whatever it is they did decide to keep in the show. And what I saw was, the scene where she finds out from the chambermaids how babies are made. And she's upset. And I understand, because she thought it was that Simon could not have babies. And you know what? I will give Daphne credit. When she thought he was impotent, she really did love him anyway. She wasn't sitting there looking at babies being like, crying, like, I want babies of my own and my husband won't give it to me. She wasn't doing that. She genuinely was like, you know what? The woohoo is spectacular. Okay, I'm happy. I'm getting to know the townsfolk, and they have a lot of kids. I could be like the literal rich auntie of the town, And she was really okay with it. However, I'm sure the books might have had an inner monologue showing that she wasn't as okay with it. But in the show, they showed her to be very okay with it. And I do appreciate that. But I want to talk about the Abubu scene. Now, I know people can say that Simon emotionally or intellectually abubu'd her by playing on her ignorance, her feigned innocence, her doe-eyed nature. And I agree with that. I'm not going to let Simon completely off the hook with that, but I'm talking about the fact that there are not really that many dedicated videos about what happened to Simon in that moment. There are a bunch of discussions about everything else, but you guys know I do not want children. If my mind changes, it changes, but I've always heard different discussions about wanting and not wanting children. And, the way that people come at it, it's like kangaroos waiting in the water. Yes, they actually do that. Kangaroos literally sit there and wait in water for something, some kind of animal, a land animal mostly, to walk in. And once they get too close, they'll strangle it. Yes, that's how I feel. So in terms of the people in my life who no longer go back and forth with me, why don't you want kids? Instead of going back and forth with me, they just wait. Wait for me to become with child, to become infected with this, And so when I heard that Simon did not want kids, I had to think about it. It was a very Jeannie Mai type of situation. And what do I mean by that? Jeannie Mai, from The Real, the TV show The Real, she did not want kids for a very long time. And then, once she got with somebody she thought she could trust, we all know now that she couldn't have. Well, most of us Binda knew, but that's another story. Once she found out she couldn't trust him, that was, whatever, but she was comfortable in the relationship to a certain extent where he probably convinced her that, hey, we could have this baby. And she loved him enough that she wanted that baby. Now, I, for one, was confused when she decided to have a kid until she explained what changed. And then I realized it's not that she didn't want kids. It's that she didn't think she deserved to be a parent. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. There is a difference between people who genuinely do not want kids and people who are childless and do whatever they have to do to stay that way because they don't think that they deserve to have children. Those two people seem to interlace and interlap on their reasonings for not wanting children. But the people who don't want children because they don't feel like they're good parents, they kind of lie a little bit, or they keep things close to the chest. They're not going to tell you their whole backstory about how they were a boo-booed. A boo-boo means A-B-U-S-E, don't forget it. How they were a boo-booed as children and how their parents didn't treat them right, or didn't believe them in certain things, or didn't foster that in them, just expected them, push out kids because of duty, didn't do what they could have done to make them more open to the idea. They had a harsh life, and because of that, they don't want kids. It doesn't have anything to do with children. They're incredible with children. Children gravitate towards them. You could see them being a parent with or without marriage, like all of that, right? But for some reason, they still don't want kids. And when they explain it, they sound like the people who genuinely, in terms of like, there is no abubu in my past. I'm not necessarily scared of kids themselves. I just don't want the experience. I feel like those are two different things in my eyes. What I don't necessarily appreciate is how both of us get ramped in together. And so when people on the Genie My side do change their mind because they get therapy and they get healing and they get into a relationship where they feel safe enough to do it, then all of a sudden, everybody starts waiting like kangaroos for the other side of the spectrum that does not want kids and looks at you like, well, she changed, so come on up now. Come on up now. And it's like, what? What? So Simon, he's a difficult case. I know that he obviously needs a lot of therapy, which he not gonna get because it's way back then. But let's have the discussion. Is he a Genie Mai or is he a siren? Siren meaning you don't want kids. There is no abuse involved. Or you don't think you're good enough for a child. I know it seems kind of obvious. Obviously, he's on the Genie Mai side because his father aboo-booed him emotionally for years. That's why he doesn't want kids. I feel like that is an aspect of it, right? He didn't want kids because he did not want to give his father satisfaction of an heir to sire a line. But I do feel like the script writers could have added a little bit more to that. It's just me saying that I don't personally enjoy the way that storyline came together. No, I'm not saying that by the end Daphne shouldn't have kids and should just sit there suffering. That's not what I'm saying. But the culmination of Daphne feeling played and tricked, running up on that nigga, being intimate with him, and then when he's like, okay, I want to stop, she doesn't stop. QED, okay? She does that. How is that the answer? And it seems kind of out of character for Daphne. Now, I understand that in the books, this is what happens. You know, she RPS him. She does that in the books. I feel like the story could have gone the exact same way without her doing that. In my personal opinion, I just feel like it was just something cruel to add on that doesn't even matter. And people do this a lot in stories where they'll add this incredible abubu scene where it's like, wow. And then it's just never, there's like barely any consequences. It's never spoken about again. Why? Why add that? Why? Because to me, I don't hate Daphne necessarily, but she's never been my favorite. And I've never felt like ever rewatching season 1 until now just because I want more context for certain things. But like, I just don't understand why you had to make her do that. And I also don't understand why when we're on YouTube making discourse, it's a passing phrase. I think I've only seen about 3 videos total that either are only about this or have it included in it because they're speaking about what happens in the books. Every time people react to this show, they never have anything to say about this. Nothing. They don't have a passing, oh, well, Like, what? Do you see what she did to him? It was so bad that he could not even enter her again because he did not trust her. She broke trust with him. And I know what the rebut is going to be, but he broke trust with her. He was lying. We understand that. And she also tried to pay him back for that by not sleeping in the same room as him anymore and avoiding him. And I never thought, some people thought she was being extra for that. I didn't think she was being extra for that. That man lied to you. Why would I? And as she said, made her look dumb. Why would you want to stay around and be buddy-buddy? I get that. But I feel like it was also justified for him to not trust her either. And I feel like there should have been a more balanced conversation on both ends. Okay, he lied to Daphne. That's terrible, etc., etc. Keep going. And then, but Daphne, you shouldn't have done that. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you talk to him? The show loves to boast about how great their friendship was. Like, oh, the best type of romance is those who were friends first. Can you be friends first? I'm trying to figure out why you said all of that, showed all of that, boasted all of that. But when it came time to really just come at him, because she had the upper hand at the point, not necessarily the full upper hand, but to just sit down with him and be like, so I know how babies are really made. I know that you're spilling your seeds so I don't get pregnant. I feel dumb. Why'd you make me feel dumb? Why would you do that? Because here's my thing. I feel like people have more sympathy for Daphne by that time than Simon. In the beginning, people feel sorry for Simon because they see what happens with his father and everything. You feel sorry for him, right? But by the time the baby debacle comes around, people have more sympathy for Daphne. That's what I've been seeing in the reactions, right? And so they're more willing to go on diatribes about it and talk about how fulfilling life is when you have children and all of that. So I feel like the show could have gone the exact same way, removing Daphne trying to outsmart him by R-A-P-A in him. Okay? I don't understand why you did it, because it didn't really garner much sympathy. It's only a few people who caught what happened and felt uncomfortable by it, excluding the people who read the books before they saw the show. For newer viewers who never read a book, only a small percentage caught it and was like, ooh, nope, don't like that. Versus the people who were just like, well, that wasn't a pleasant situation. But anyway, why'd Simon have to lie? I endorsed what Daphne did. And I'm not saying that they endorsed it like they would do it, but it's almost like they more understood. I even heard a take where like they framed what Daphne did and said, well, maybe she didn't have to R-A-P-A him, but maybe she could have like played on his ignorance, like pretended to stay on too long, pretend like she didn't hear him say no a couple times, while they do it a couple times in different days. And then when she falls with her fourth child, she says, I thought you said you were impotent. Like, someone literally said that she should just keep playing dumb and getting pregnant. Like, trick him, but play dumb. That is another form of a boo-boo. I just feel like if the end goal is feel sorry for Daphne and want her to have these babies so she can have the family she always wanted, then don't add that scene in, because to me it muddies the waters and it muddies their relationship, and it makes the relationship in season 2 slightly better. And I only say slightly because I'm gonna make a little video about what I feel about Anthony. Don't worry about it. Anyways, not to say that I disliked season 1. I thought it was fun. Like I said before, I've read books like this, books that were a little bit better in my opinion, but I enjoyed those books. So I enjoyed Bridgerton. Is why I keep coming back for little things. I just don't really appreciate that scene. I don't appreciate it because even though they tried to interject that conversation in there, the audience wasn't catching that you're supposed to also discuss that. They didn't care. They just like flocked to Daphne's side in larger numbers than those who understood what was happening in the scene in a fuller way, or cared to discuss what was happening in the scene in a fuller way. So I feel like if we're just going to make Simon change his mind because, well, she's pregnant now, so I'm going to just change my mind, then don't put a scene where she harms him. It's a little bit out of character for her. And I'm saying a little bit because I don't know the full context of her character. I've never read the books. Maybe that was in character. And if it is, then there's a problem. But whatever, I'm just saying. I want us to have a more equal discussion on this. A more equal discussion on this. I'm not saying throw Daphne in the bin. She's the worst person ever. Ain't nobody saying that. Okay? Obviously, what happened was a reaction. But if a man had that reaction, oh, my wife lied to me, let me go R-A-P-R her. Let's say it was switched. Let's say Daphne was raped. And the rules were switched in society. And Simon was the one who didn't know anything. So she would keep jumping off of him. And then, like, giving him chrome to finish him off. And claiming that that's how woohoo is supposed to go. Chrome means head. And then let's just say he speaks to his footman. And the footman is like, well, chrome is great. But you're supposed to see in her to get her pregnant. And Simon has always wanted kids, but Daphne had a terrible childhood, and so she don't want no kids. And so, while they're woohooing now, Simon stays in and does not allow her to jump off, does not allow her to give chrome, and empties himself in her. Empties himself inside of her. Y'all would not like that. There would be way more discussions on that. And y'all be talking about, he could have just talked about it. I thought they were really close. I thought they were good friends. Why did he confront her verbally? Do you see how different it is? If you switch the people around a little bit. That's all I'm saying. It is a serious situation that a lot of people did not take seriously. They took it lightly. And I keep putting in there that I know that there are some that did take it seriously, but there is a larger majority of reactors who did not. And I want to have discussion in my community tab and in the comments about this. So please let me know what you think. More Bridgerton videos will be coming out before the season is out, because I feel like talking about Bridgerton more as I rewatch the seasons. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye, my sires. Susu!